Yes, thank you. November 3, Yankee Uniform Golf.
Yankee Uniform Golf. Roger, what's the name?
Yeah, the name here is Jason. Juliet Alpha Sierra Oscar November. We're located in the very southern part of Maryland.
Roger, Jason. And what radio are you running today?
Yeah, I'm running the new STDX-101D. Microphone's the Heil PR40, and running about 700-800 watts out to a double bazooka, right around 50 feet here.
Roger, that was an STDX-101 what?
101 Delta, 101 Delta, the new Yaesu.
Roger, Roger. Well, and gosh, Jason, your dynamic range is such that you could be, I think, a lot fatter if you would be interested.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been playing with the parametric EQs, and I'm trying to get them tuned in. Conditions right now, I got ALC's about 2/3 on the ALC scale. Processor I have turned back to 30, and that gives us, I guess, your normal starting point there. Over.
Roger, yes. If you could take a look at your ALC and just speak naturally on your ALC, and you're looking for that spot between the 2/3 and the halfway point, and that will help you normally, bring up to about a 3 dB dynamic range, which I consider just perfect, because then the average percent of peak modulation runs between 80 and 85%. So come back and look at that ALC meter and see what you can do as far as getting it there between mid-scale and 2/3.
Yeah, okay. We're running right now. Jumping from about half scale, and on hard peaks it's going slightly over the 3/4, but most everything's right around half to 2/3 scale.
Roger that. Okay, let me give you something to work on. You have a watt meter on the output of your power amp, or do you have a power amp?
Yes, I have a watt meter here that has peak and peak hold.
Okay, put that watt meter in PEP so it moves a little faster, and hopefully you can see it from where you normally sit on your chair, Roger?
Yeah, I can see the ALC and I can see the watt meter at the same time here.
All right, so the plan is that with your voice, you want to keep that watt meter in the sweet spot. You know where it is there, and so you have the ability, as you speak, to try to keep that meter in the sweet spot position. Roger?
Yeah, QSL, so we're trying to keep it up about where it's almost peaking for most of the conversation.
Right, in that area between 2/3 and half, right in that area there, that sweet spot is exactly where you want to keep your voice, and you don't want to go in the red, but you do want to try to keep it as much as you can, and that has to do somewhat with the rate of speech, obviously, because if you talk slower, the meter falls down between words. So you might need to increase your rate of speech just a little bit in order to keep that up. And the other thing is, it makes you pay attention to if you might wander off mic, kind of like that. It shows you, hey, get on mic, Roger.
Yeah, QSL. Yeah, that's one of the problems I have had here is taking those little gaps in between and breaking and letting that meter fall. So definitely something I need to work on here. It is. Other than that, what other adjustments might you suggest there, Jim?
I think you're right on target on your EQ. I'm listening to you through my local receiver, and it is flat from 100 cycles to past 3K. And I'm looking at your signal on a spectrum analyzer, and by ear, it just looks fine. I wouldn't change a thing. The only thing is trying to keep that average percent of peak modulation up there around 3 dB, so you're 80 to 85%, Roger.
Yeah, QSL is very good, and we'll work on that. How does the processor sound here? I normally run it up around 48 to 50, and I did turn it back to 30 here for checking in with you here this afternoon.
Well, the thing about the processor is that you don't want to ever hear it working. That you never want to hear for somebody to hear your processor working, because if they do, then you're cranking in too much processing. It should be a very subtle thing that makes the difference, in the way that it needs to, but not excessively. When it becomes excessive, it just has a tendency to, number one, perhaps entice RF and the AF, which you don't want to do that, because that introduces distortion. You don't want to be sucking up blowers and transformers and the wife beating the kids in the back room. You want to be very, approach your audio with a great deal of finesse, just like you would in a commercial broadcast station, where they use compressors and limiters, but they do it with a great deal of finesse, Roger.
Yeah, okay, QSL, we've tried to keep it down to where it's not distinguishable that it is on and kicking in. The thing I've noticed on this 101 Delta is, from my ear, turning it up, I'm having a hard time actually hearing it kick in or even see a lot of compression coming in on the compression scale. For example, I'll go up 50% or 50 on the processor level. No compressor really kicking in, slight variance. And going up to 70%, I would think I would start to see some a little bit more, but I usually don't hear it. Maybe you can tell me if you're hearing it on your end there.
Not much. I'll tell you what you can do is later on your dime, look at your watt meter, key down, look at your watt meter, and turn your compressor all the way up and see what kind of noise level you have on your watt meter. Now, what I mean by that is that if you're running excessive compression, the watt meter residual level will climb, and what you don't want to see is the residual level on the meter. The thing would be to turn it up all the way and then start turning it down, because all the way you will see your watt meter hanging up there, probably, depending. But if you do see a bunch of background noise when you're not talking, just take that compressor and turn it down until you can barely see any residual noise on your dead key, Roger.
Yeah, QSL. We'll definitely give that a try. I appreciate the help today and the suggestions. We'll work on keeping our audio peaked up a little bit more and talking just a little bit faster here. And we'll let you go so you can continue on. I know you've probably got a lot of people waiting in there. So KC9VKV and N3YUG. Appreciate the help today at 7:30.
Roger, Jason-N3YUG that way, sir. Thanks for dropping by, and we'll be posting this in the next couple of days to YouTube. So if you go to YouTube and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor, that will take you to our Qso-Vlog page. And on that page, you'll find one QSO entitled My Group Air Check 12/13/19. Today's date, My Group Air Check 12/13/19. This is KC9VKV and the Qso-Vlog network. If you've got a radio you want to check out, give me a shout.